Welcome to Just Minding My Business Media. I hope you are having an amazing day. And I am so excited to bring to the platform Dr. Jeremy Weisz. Did I say that right, Dr. Jeremy?
I answered anything, but Weiss is how I pronounce
Okay.
it.
All right. Well, that's okay. Names. I'm horrible with names, so we're going to make this right. Well, today I am so happy to welcome Dr. Jeremy Weisz, who has founded multiple businesses from a health supplement business to a chiropractic and massage business to now running a successful digital agency helping companies create life-changing relationships. Jeremy has been featuring top entrepreneurs with video interviews since 2008 that include founders and CEOs of Pixar, P90X, Atari, Einstein Bagels, Mattel, Kettle Chips, RX Bars, and the list goes on. Jeremy runs Rise 25, where they help B2B business connect to their Dream 200 clients, referral partners, and get ROI using a podcast. They eliminate 99% of the work and are an easy button for a company to launch and run your podcast. Wow, you've been around the world.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you. I just need to know, how did you make a leap from health to digital?
Well, it's purely on accident. Okay. My background's in biochemistry as a chiropractor, so they do a great job teaching you the health and the human body and helping patients, but a horrible job with business and marketing and everything like that. So after school, when I had my own practice, I started going to conferences on marketing and business, and that was like 2006-ish. And so I stumbled across some people doing this podcast thing. At that time, most people didn't know what a podcast was. I don't even know if we even called it a podcast, to be honest with you. It was like an online radio show, or whatever you want to call it. But it kind of combined all the things I loved, which is like talking to people and fascinated with entrepreneur and founder stories. It was professional development. So I was learning what other people were doing. And it was just a way for me to give to other people and profile them. So I started doing, about over 15 years ago, started doing interviews with founders and entrepreneurs. What happened was at the time, people saw what I was doing, and some people started reaching out and asking me to help them, launch and run their podcast. And so I started by accident, turned into a separate business. So over time, it just grew, and then eventually I exited the chiropractic and massage business and focused full time on Rise 25, where we help others, launch and run podcasts. So it was purely on accident. I didn't set out to start another business or even be in this particular industry.
Wow. Isn't that funny how life works out?
Yeah, but I would just say yes. Like people like, hey, you help, and I'm like, yeah. I mean, I am passionate about it, and I would help people. And then my schedule got like too crazy, right? So I started kind of scheduling different time periods. So maybe from 8 to 9:30 or so, I would do podcast related stuff. Then maybe from like 12 to 3, and then because I'm seeing patients too
Oh,
and
wow.
managing a practice. And so then after maybe from 7 to 8:30, and then maybe from 11 at night till 2 in the morning, I'm just doing so. It was a lot of work. Don't get me wrong, but then eventually it kind of evened out as I as I started to shed some things off my plate.
Yes, I can imagine. I can imagine. So let's talk a little bit about how to reach your Dream 200 and create that referral and client pipeline, because at the end of the day, that's what podcasting is all about.
Yeah, and when I'll clarify. When I talk about podcasting, I'm not talking about comedy podcasts or true crime podcasts or sports podcasts. I'm talking about business related podcasts, right? So, When I'm thinking of the Dream 200, really we're talking about, and I kind of categorize it into two separate things. One is warm relationships and the other is cold relationships, right? So Dream 200, some people think about it as, well, let's define it for a second. Clients. Sometimes people define it as, oh, these are my potential clients. These are my dream clients, right? I kind of look at broader perspective on that. It could be strategic or referral partners. It could be clients or potential clients. It could be just authorities, people in the industry. So it's kind of expanded in my view. So when I think of that Dream 200, that's kind of how I define it. And it's a little broader than what I've heard some people talk about, kind of their dream, just they're talking about their clients. So I kind of categorize it into warm and cold because sometimes people want to go to the coldest of cold, right? You're like, oh, you know what? Here's the three companies I would love to work with. And what happens is they jump over the low hanging fruit. And the low hanging fruit are the warm relationships and the people who already know, like, and trust them, right? And so we kind of ignore those people sometimes. I'm guilty of that as well, right? So really focusing in on, I think about who are on my mind, that's top of mind for me, are who are my best champions and partners and people, and I want to, love on them as much as possible and help them as much as possible. And hopefully comes back at some point. And if it doesn't, that's cool because I'm happy just helping and giving. But those are the warm. And then the cold, when we think of the cold, there's common, I guess, categories from the cold side. And I think of when you're thinking of in whatever industry, right? We could pick any niche, but I think of, okay, who are the consultants in that industry? Let's assume, like, I'm not sure, like, depends on the service and product the person has, but consultants, usually they're monetizing different from the company. Trade associations in the industry, people who run conferences in the industry, software in the industry, and speakers or authors in the industry. Okay. So, you could take any niche, like I was talking to a financial advisor, and the financial advisor we are doing, we do a brainstorming with clients and map this out with them. And they're like, well, who's an ideal client for you? And they said, anyone with a lot of money, right? Obviously. But I go, that's not helpful. That's not really a niche. So I go, can we get more specific? And I go, what are the type, list some of your best clients, right? Who do you love working with? Who do you best get the best results for? And so we had a long list, but I'm like, okay, it's actually was like, I don't think I remember it was 20 to 30% dentists. I'm like, do you realize there's like a chunk here that are dentists? Okay, we can work with that. So we looked at who are the consultants in the dental industry, who are the trade associations in the dental industry, who are the conferences in the dental industry, who are the software in the dental industry, who are the speakers and authors in the dental industry. And then we went about giving to them, building relationships with them, obviously having them on the podcast and doing that. So it comes down to thinking of, for me, who do you love working with? Who do you deliver the best results from? And getting specific on that. If that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. Yes, because you have to definitely define it. And it can't be too broad because then it's like, okay, what does that mean? Then you really at a place where you have to define it.
And someone could be busy on any one of those things, right? Like if someone just chose, I'm going to make great connections with all of the software in that space or all of the conferences in the, even one conference in that space has a lot of people and connections and businesses in it. So it's not like you have to do all of those things. But I'm just throwing out like if one resonates with someone, then that's an idea they can run with.
Yes, absolutely. So Rise 25, how do you work with people? What does the company
Yeah,
act?
it's a good question. What we do is the first thing we do is we build out a strategy for a company. So, a um, client or potential client will come to us like, "Hey, I want to start a podcast," or say, "I'm thinking of starting a podcast," or "I have a podcast, I want to up level my podcast." and we start with the strategy. So we will first build out a 6 to 12 month plan for that business, a path to ROI for their podcast. Okay. After we build out the plan, if it's a fit to work with us, because we are an easy button. So we have it so set up. We have a dashboard for each client. They go in, they we just want them doing the interview, building the relationship and running their business and nothing else outside of that. Because as you know, it could take a lot of time. And so we want to give as much time back to that founder or company CEO. And so after that, if it's a fit to work with us, we are an easy button, meaning they show up. We have a platform where they put the file in there, it takes them 2 minutes, and then we do everything else. So we will post on their website, we'll create the blog post, we'll create the, social media asset, we'll create the video if they do video, put it in the YouTube channel, like everything else around it. We'll message with the guests to make sure they have the assets so they could just go about their day, run their business, and then just make sure they're following up with the relationship. So we'll do all those back end things. So the execution piece, the also important piece that we do is the accountability piece, because we want to make sure that we keep them accountable for the plan that we set out, right? People get busy. Like we're right now in the new year, whenever people are listening to this, people have New Year's goals and resolutions, right? Oh, I want to go to the gym more. I want to get healthy. Like what I have found, I know how to work out, but I have a trainer that I see twice a week and I'm pretty disciplined, right? At this point, I work out almost every single day. Could I work out without a trainer? Yes, but they hold me accountable. They also are an expert, so they're pushing me harder. They give me more different things to do in programming. I don't have to go and think. I just go. I do not have to think. There's like, Jeremy, do this. Okay. Jeremy, do this. Jeremy, do. So they're holding me accountable. So we are become people's, they don't realize, they think they're just getting a podcast. They're getting kind of a personal trainer for business development because we hold them accountable to doing the activities they need to do to move their business along further.
Yes, and that's so important in any endeavor because if you don't have that accountability, you know how we can always lie to ourselves and say we're going to do this and do that. But if nobody else knows about it, it's so different. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'll get to it, but you don't have any other, any other.
100%. I do it the same way. I will schedule with our outreach strategist 3 times a week because it's that important for myself. The same thing we recommend our clients do. And we're on there doing the reach out and executing on the plan that we set out. So I, you know, live it myself. I don't just say, hey, you should do this. Like literally, I'm probably doing it triple the amount that our clients are just because I feel it's so important.
Yes, it is. It really is. Wow. So you take care. So here's what I'm hearing. You just show up, do the interview, and send it to you.
Exactly. That's it.
Oh man, I need you in my life.
I mean, remember, like when I first started, I was doing everything. That's why I don't have a lot of hair because I was pulling my hair out and I wanted to stay consistent. Like now I publish 2 to 3 episodes a week. At that time it was once a week and even it was like it'd be midnight the night before. And I'd be like, "Oh no." Like I've done the interviews, right? Some people need pushing on and help on that. But I'm like, "Oh God, I have to do." If you still find them on my Uninspired Insider, my podcast page, you're like, oh yeah, this is an early one from Jared. It's like horrendous, Like I try and turn those over to the team and have them rebuild it because it's so much better. But the night before at like 12 or midnight, I'm like, I got to get this out. And I'm like, oh, I have to do this and this. You know how much work it can be.
Oh yeah.
And I just like, I can't do this anymore. It's too much.
Yes, because I have a team now. I have two because we're doing the shorts and all that kind of stuff.
Yep,
And that needs to be edited. And the JPEG marketing that has to be created. Uh
totally.
and it's so much. after the interview that happens. I mean, if this all we had to do was get in front of the camera and
Right, exactly.
magically happen,
That's when the real work begins after it's recorded. I mean, we
yeah,
even have some social media marketing companies that we work with, and we do their social media marketing for the podcast because they're busy working with their clients,
right.
right? So we're still doing the back end stuff so they can focus in on their clients, their client work.
Yes, yes, that is so
Like,
important.
because they have the capabilities, obviously, that's what they
Right.
do, but they're serving their clients and like, here, you have a, streamlined approach and we'll let you take and handle this.
Yes, and it makes sense once you get to a certain place, because I know I broadcast twice a week,
It's a
and
lot.
it's a lot. And it's and then I work with a lot of agencies that send people to me, so they keep me pretty busy with different people coming in.
Yeah.
And now, you always want to get better, provide your interviewee with more visibility opportunities in order to get that podcast out. Because in addition to the podcast, I also repurpose for television. I have a channel called Conversations That Matter that airs on Roku, Fire
Nice.
TV, and Apple. And if they want that, then that's more editing to repurpose
You're like, I'm gonna figure out how
television.
to create myself more work for myself. No, I mean, it's kind of when I think of it, I've learned over the years, I've had to get better at delegating
Yes.
personally. And so that's kind of like a lesson for myself is in the beginning, y- and I come across this with people all the time. There's stuff I kind of bucket in stuff that I am doing that I don't like doing, that I shouldn't be doing,
Mhm.
stuff that I am doing that I like doing that I shouldn't be doing, and then stuff that I am doing that I is my zone of genius that I should be doing. And so I've learned over the years because the section of stuff that I'm doing and I hate doing it and I shouldn't be doing it, that's easy, right? Not always, but like sometimes to get off the plate. But it's easier than let's say I like doing something and I shouldn't be doing it. That's where I'm like, sometimes I'm like white gripping something with the team. Like, wait, why are you doing this? I like doing it. Like, no, you should not be doing this. You need to be doing this other stuff. I'm like, so
Yes.
it's kind of a lesson for me. Just I need to keep thinking about delegation or elimination or automation, one of those three things.
Yes.
Ari Meisel is a great book that I love on these topics. And his book is called Less Doing, More Living. And it's a very quick read. I listened to an Audible. It's very short, but it made me just think about delegation, elimination, or automation.
Yes. And that's what I've been doing. So far I've got two people helping me out, which has been absolutely after the training piece, now everybody's kind of know what they're doing. And it's been marvelous. Okay, I've done some automation as well to try to streamline a lot of different mundane systems that I was doing. So I'm getting there slowly. But
It's always a work in progress, regardless how far someone's along or not. Always.
yes, yes. So if people want to work with you, how do they connect with you, Jeremy?
Yeah, they could go to rise25.com and we have a contact form there. You could connect with me on LinkedIn. My email is jeremy at rise25.com. You can email me. I try and respond within 24 hours. And you can check out my episodes on Inspired Insider. They're all free. And just we have free episodes on podcasting. Like we've recorded probably almost every question we've gotten. So if you want some free resources there, like from what software and services do I, or what tools and software do I use? How do I name my podcast? How do I use LinkedIn with, every question we've gotten, we've put it up there. So you can just search Inspired Insider podcast and like, you'll see a bunch of those episodes. So both of those are good spots.
Yes, I have to agree. I was there, ladies and gentlemen, and he has quite a few resources for the podcast because anybody that I meet that's in the same industry, of course, you're gonna like. beam in a little bit harder because this person's doing what I'm doing. So let me see.
Yeah, so there's a lot of great resources and people I've had on that are, I've learned a lot from over the years.
And that's the one thing about podcasting. You learn so much from the people that you interview. Oh my God, it is amazing. I've got like little asterisks next to certain people's names. As soon as I'm in that space, I'm going to reach out to them for their service.
I've had, really high level founders, entrepreneurs say to me, I would podcast if no one's listening just for that reason, from a professional development reason, just so I get to learn from some of the top people in the industry. So,
Yes,
totally
likewise.
agree.
Likewise. Wow. So let's talk a little bit about LinkedIn and being able to create real relationships on LinkedIn.
Yeah, just in general.
Yes, just in general, because
I mean, I think with any social media, it kind of goes back to the same concept as the podcast, which is, the way I look at a podcast is how do I give to people in my network, right? And the same thing goes for social media, right? And so I'm always looking at if you look at my LinkedIn posts at this point in time, I think I have almost 18,000 followers and connections there. So I do spend quite a bit of time on LinkedIn. And if you look at my posts, they're not about me, actually. They're about other people, the companies, what I find interesting, what other people are doing, so it's really about them. And so it's the same concept, whether it's LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or whatever channel. It's more about how do I really highlight other people and what they're doing.
yes. And that's
So,
what I enjoy doing. I enjoy highlighting other people and what they're doing. It's bringing that information to people, learning what you didn't know. It is just, it's amazing. I love podcasting.
me too.
I
Totally.
absolutely do. The work can be crazy. Like I'm one of those people where I get up like 4 a.m.
Wow.
because I'm a whole lot more creative.
What time do you go to bed then?
Usually if I don't have anything to do, I'm nodding around 8, 9 o'clock.
Wow. I
But
think if I could get on that schedule, I think I'd be more productive. If I could go to bed at 9, wake up at 4:30, that would be amazing. I sometimes am driving carpools at 9 o'clock at night with the kids, so sometimes that's literally impossible. But if I can get on that schedule, I think I'd be more productive.
yeah, so or I'm good in the morning. I get to, put my meditation in and everything seems just so peaceful. Nothing's moving that time of
So true.
nothing. So yes, I like that time in the morning. Wow, Jeremy, this has been amazing. So you get an asterisk next to your name when
I'm
I'm
honored.
ready, when I'm
Thank you.
ready for you. Because that's my goal is to be able to just show up, do the interviews, and let somebody else do the rest.
Sounds like you're on your way.
Yes, that's the goal. I love this part of it, but afterwards, it's like, although I'm good at it, and it used to take me hours to get it done, but now it doesn't. The automation has helped. The interviews, as long as it's not noisy or some disruptive stuff in it, I do very little editing because I want it to be authentic
I'm
and
with you. Totally.
things like if in the beginning I was like spending hours on editing until I found a mentor and they was like, why you do all that? Because I want it to be natural and like we sitting around at the kitchen table just talking.
Totally agree.
Yes, indeed. But I again, how do people connect with you? And I'm all over your website, so definitely put that out there.
Yeah, definitely people check out inspiredinsider.com or rise25.com or connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn too.
All righty. Well, I appreciate you definitely taking time out of your schedule to meet with us. And I'm definitely interested in your services. I'm going to be working towards it. You get an asterisk by your company. So when I'm ready, you are the call.
Well, if anyone has questions or if you have questions, you know where to find me. So please reach out if it's on LinkedIn or one of the websites.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. And thank you, audience, for stopping by. We appreciate you as well.